Hello, Zuko here. I haven't been here in a second, and that's because I was doing NaNoWriMo, but I am back, at least for now. So it's time for my recent reads, but essentially this is my October reading wrap up because I didn't read anything in November. So that's exciting. So let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start. Oh, it's gonna be at the bottom of the stack, isn't it? Not at the bottom, but it's not at the top. First in October, I read Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This is a pen name for Shauna McGuire, I believe. And this is a mermaid horror book about a scientific expedition who goes into the middle of the ocean because they believe that there's something out there. One of the main character's sisters mysteriously died. That was my cat. Mysteriously died on a previous voyage, and she's fairly certain it is mermaids. And these are not pretty mermaids. These are hairless, gross, primal, apex predator mermaids. And I really liked this book. I thought it was a 17-hour audiobook. And I read a lot of it in one sitting, and then the next day I was just so excited to finish it. I really liked it, but I do feel like it could have been more horror at the end. The end maybe dropped the ball a little bit, but otherwise I thought this was a really good book, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. This is a weird, horrific mystery kind of book. There's multi-POVs. One is a cat, one is a guy who is kind of being abused by his mother, I think. And one of them is someone looking for their missing sibling. They're pretty sure they know who killed their sibling. It's a very strange book. I can't tell if it demonizes mental illness a little bit or not. And I picked this up because I really liked Sundial by Catriona Ward, which I read earlier this year, but I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I think I'm gonna keep it for now, but I don't know. Then I read The Book Eaters by Sunny Dean. This book follows a main character who eats books. It's a group of, or I guess a species of people who devour books, and every once in a while they have a kid who eats part of the human brain, and there's some substance that kind of suppresses that urge, but that substance has kind of disappeared, and there's a woman who's trying to keep her son, who is a brain eater, out of trouble and alive. I liked this book. I don't know that I thought it was as fantastic maybe as I wanted it to be, but I liked the concept. So I have this. This was 4 out of 5 stars, 3.5. I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't, I wanted more, but I'm not sure what I wanted. Then I read Seance Tea Party by Raymena Yee, I think. This is just a really cute little graphic novel. It's kind of ghosty, but in a really sweet way about friendship and growing up and stuff. Loved this. This was 5 stars. Then I read Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, and I feel since Sarah Gailey has mother issues, the novel, I feel in all of Sarah Gailey's books they really just push the main character having a bad relationship with their mother. I'm kind of over that. This is a weird haunted house book, familial mystery haunted house book. It was fine. I like the cover, but I think I might just like it because it's pink. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this book because I don't think I'm gonna read it again. I might not. It was a 3-star, 2.5, very middling. Then I read Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I don't remember reading this book. I know I did, but I think I need to read it again because I don't think I got anything out of my reading of it. I think I zoned out. And to be fair, older books are not my cup of tea. This style of a haunted house and horror writing is not what I would normally be drawn to, but I really like the Netflix series, so I'm gonna give this another chance. But right now it's a 3-star. Then I read Ravenfall by Kaylin Joseph. I believe this is a magic hotel book. There's a family, a witchy family that has a magic hotel. I liked the vibes, but I'm just not a big fan of middle grade right now, so I didn't rate this book because I kind of zoned out for a lot of it and I just wasn't loving it. I need to stop buying middle grade because while middle grade is super fun, it's just not, sorry, I thought I saw something. So while middle grade is super fun and I want to love it, I just don't really. So I think I'm gonna pass this along to my local school division. Then I read Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This is a book about a spaceship crew that finds an abandoned luxury spaceship, but everyone on it is dead, and they look like they have all harmed themselves and other people, and they're trying to unlock the mystery of it without losing their minds themselves. I thought this book was kind of long. I liked it well enough. I think I'm gonna give it another try because I kind of zoned out the last little bit because it was too long. I liked the concept. I give this a 3-star because I didn't really care what was happening when I was reading it. I'm gonna give it another try one day. Then, and I don't have a copy here because I returned my copy, if that tells you anything. I read Leech by, what is it? Huron Ends. I wanted to like this book. This is a book in a world set where all of the doctors are a hive mind of this one organism, which is already weird, but like you go up to the really, really far north where you can't do anything and there's a parasite that's killed one of the doctors. So now all of the doctors are like, what the fuck? What is killing us? Is there like another parasite? Which one of us is gonna win or whatever? I don't know. I didn't like it. Fuck, it was so long, it was so boring. Nothing happened through a lot of it. And it was like really cold and dreary, and maybe like that was the point, is to feel atmospheric of a dead cold place. But it sucked. And I feel like it seemed like no one, maybe I'm misreading into it, but it felt like there was like a big sexual assault scene that made the book labeled as queer. And maybe I'm reading it wrong, like it could be me, but because I don't see anybody else mentioning it, but I didn't like it. So I returned it. I listened to the audiobook, so the actual physical copy of the book was brand new. It was a 2-star. Did I really say 2.5 stars? No. This is a 2-star, 1.5 star. I hated it. Changing my rating right now. 1 star. Okay. Then I read Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. And this is a book about a woman who, like, I don't know, thinks she's turning into a wild animal because she needs hobbies. I don't know. This was kind of dumb. It was just like a woman who was like, what if, fuck societal norms, I'm gonna be a dog. And her family's like, you can't raise a child as a dog. And she's like, I'm gonna eat raw meat off the floor. And this was dumb. So yeah, it's a 3-star. And it was too long because it was just trying to get the same point across over and over and over again. Next I read Echo by Thomas Old Hilvelt. This is a book about a mountain in the Alps, is it? I don't know. And all of the characters are from like other places on Earth. It was like about rich people doing dumb shit. There was a mountaineering accident in which somebody died and somebody else was like horribly facially disfigured. And I think he was like one of those gay men who like really prides themselves on being like strong and pretty. And it's about him and his boyfriend kind of trying to return to that mountain because something about that mountain, the mountain maybe is a devil, I don't know. It's in this guy now and it's like haunting him. And this book was fine. I wanted to like it more, but I kind of was getting lost by the end. I think I could keep it for now, but you know, it wasn't as good as I wanted. I rated it like a 3.5. Then I read The Witch in the Well by Camilla Bruce. This is about a small town mystery in which one woman in the small town is writing a book about it, and another woman comes back to the small town. She used to live there. She thinks she's being haunted by a witch in a well, and she's like, well, I'm gonna write about it. And then they're mad at each other, and then there's like a feud, and maybe there is a witch in a well. Unclear. Maybe clear. I don't really remember reading this book. It was fine. I don't have anything strong to say about it because I don't really remember reading it. I think it could have been more horror-y. That's what I'll say. It's like a 3-star. Then, I don't have a physical copy of this, but I read Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is like an IKEA horror book. Essentially, it takes place in like a big IKEA-like store. And I really wanted to like it. I was really excited to read it. I've been wanting to read this book forever. And it was so underwhelming. It was not what I wanted. Because I wanted like a proper like, I don't know, eldritchy IKEA fucked up horror book. And it was like, no, this IKEA knockoff was simply built on a prison torture camp, and now the ghosts of the prison torture camp leader are haunting the IKEA ripoff. And that was really boring. I wanted it to be like creepier. So that was like a 2-star read. Then I read Little Eve by Catriona Ward, another book I don't have. I almost bought it, but then I got the audiobook before I was able to buy it. I'm kind of glad on that. This was like a weird cult book set, I don't know when, but a weird cult family. I don't really remember anything other than that. Kind of like the snake cults of this though, where they're like, let's handle a snake and don't die. I don't know. It's a weird like little cult book of a man who like abducts small children, mostly little girls. So trigger warnings for that, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really like it. It was like a 2.5-star book, you know? Then I read Witchlight by Jessie Zabarski. This is a cute graphic novel about a witch who was kind of tasked with saving her entire village despite the fact that she hadn't learned magic. Like she was sent away to learn it while the village was being attacked. Like, you're the only hope, which was like a really unfair thing to do to a child. And she meets, I want to say a knight, but another woman, I think, who wields a sword. And it's queer, and there's a fat main character, and this was just sweet, and I really liked it. It was a 5-star, because I have trouble rating graphic novels anything less if I enjoy them at all, because I know that they must have so much work go into them to draw a full graphic novel. Then I read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and this was like a weird, haunting book that I didn't understand. I'm not going to pretend I understood it. I kind of started zoning out at the end, but I rated it 4 stars, 3.5. So I think it was a good book. I think I'm not the target audience you know? Then I read The Troop by Nick Cutter because I heard it was a good horror book. This is like a book about like a bacteria or something that gets loose on this small island. I want to say somewhere in like Ontario or something, but it might not be set in Canada. But yeah, there's a like parasite thing that like is unkillable and was originally going to be a weight loss treatment, I think. Then they realized it was really dangerous. A test subject got out, and then the virus thing was on this island, and there's a group of like Boy Scouts that go to this island every year, and they go there not realizing that the whole island was supposed to be like inaccessible, and then they all like get sick with this thing. And it was very like a body horror gross out book. It was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. It was like a 3.5. Then I read The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I feel like this was another mommy issues book. This is a book about a woman who realizes her husband has been cheating on her with a clone of her because they have perfected like human cloning. And it's just a whole ordeal about clones, but not fun and not like Orphan Black. I don't know. This was kind of the final nail in the coffin of like Sarah Gailey's books just aren't for me. And I find their audiobook narrator just so dull to listen to. There's nothing about these that really draws me to keep reading them, which is sad. Am I gonna probably end up reading more Sarah Gailey? Yeah. Do I want to? No. That's like a 2.5 star. Then I read Extasia by Claire Legrand. This is another one of those end of the world books where there's a cult that hates women, because every end of the world book has a religious cult that thinks they survived because they are righteous. And it's a cult that's like really misogynistic. It's always a misogynistic cult. These books are a dime a dozen. This one was queer. This one had an ending that didn't fit with the rest of the book. I didn't love it. This is like a 2.5 star. Then I have Behind You, One-Shot Horror Stories by Brian Coldrick. This is just a book of like one-page horror stories. You get just like a little bit of words, a little bit of picture. I thought this was a really fun concept, and I really enjoyed this, but I'm not sure I will ever read it again. I'm kind of on the fence. I might. Yeah, this was a 5 star. Then I read To Break a Covenant by Allison Ames. This is a YA horror book set in a small town that had a mining accident, and now the mine is closed off, but the mine is also like, I don't know, a weird horror mine, something coyote monster demon ghost thing haunting some teenage girls, I think. I don't know. I really zoned out the second half of this book. I'm like kind of over YA right now. And this was just fine. I didn't think it was anything like objectively wrong with it, but it didn't hold my interest. You know, YA horror is just like never it for me, and I need to stop reading it. This was like a 3 star. Then I read Lavender House by Lev A.C. Rosen. This is a like queer mystery book set in like early 20th century. It's the 21st century now, right? Like in the 1900s, early in there, when being queer was very frowned upon. There's like a house full of queer folks, but one of them has died, and they think that it wasn't as cut and dry as like, oh, it was a medical thing, she just had a heart attack and died. They think it was something else. They hire a private investigator who is a former cop who was excommunicated from the force because they found out he was queer. And like, this is just like, I would want to say like a wholesome queer familial thing with a mystery. But like, there is some like rampant homophobia in this book because of the times. It's not like the book was like pro homophobia. I really liked it, and I'm gonna buy myself a copy, but I don't have it yet. I gave this 4 stars. I also like half read Demon in the Woods by Leigh Bardugo, but I didn't finish it, and then my audiobook loan expired because I stopped reading. I also like DNF'd 2 books. I think there was that Devil by Mason Drever, which I tried to read. It was like a 3-hour audiobook on Audible, and I hated it. It was so boring, I DNF'd it. It would have taken me an hour and a half to finish, and it was awful. Hated it. I also DNF'd The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling, the author of The Luminous Dead, which I enjoyed. Anytime I thought about reading this book, I dreaded the whole concept of it. So I didn't. And I think I have to pass this along because this is the second year I've tried to read this in Halloween month. It's like a gothic, but like it seems like a really boring gothic. I've also heard gothics maybe are always kind of boring. It just isn't for me. I haven't heard good things, so yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all of the things. These right here. These right here. All of the books that I'm unhauling this month. These are all the books that are going to go to my local used bookstore or to the local school division with underfunded libraries, because of course the libraries are underfunded. Most of these are adult books, so most of these are going to the local used bookstore. That's fine. And then all of this. Oh no, gonna get it up there. There we go. All of this is gonna stay on my shelf. So yeah, those are all of the books that I read recently and very much air quotes because not that recently. I read them all in October except Lavender House, maybe? Oh, I finished Lavender House in November, so I did read one book in November. Good for me. So yeah, those are all of my recent reads. Let me know down below if you have read and enjoyed any of these. I know that these are all very Halloween oriented because that's when all of these were read. And it is December and maybe this isn't the vibe you want. I understand. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it and I will see you whenever I do my next video.